Welcome to NFL Draft Week. We are your Dungeon of Doom podcast. I am Ben Raven. He is Corey Woods.
What's going on, Ben?
And I know you're tired. I didn't get the what up, though. It's all good. It's NFL Draft Week. Corey's jumping back into NFL draft coverage. He's jumping back into his final mock draft. He's jumping into Pistons playoffs, man. You are a busy man. We are not allowed to talk about wrestling per our boss, Josh. But, Corey, you're back from an awesome weekend in Las Vegas. Looked like a great time, and all I got to say is WTF John Cena. But that is all we'll talk about wrestling. We will listen to our boss and get into NFL draft talk. Corey, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Can you believe it's finally here?
My head is on a swivel right now, but man, it's just like with everything that is going on regarding sports this year, especially in especially Detroit, the fact that the draft kind of snuck up on me is kind of even maybe blasphemous to say. But like you said, we're here, and yes, kind of the Lions drafting this late, years in a row is pretty new for me.
No, it's weird. It is weird. And I kind of led my mock draft that went up this morning at mlive.com/Lions with that. It's just like, it's a whole new world for us in draft coverage too. I mean, back-to-back years picking at the end of the first round. There's so much speculation and projection that goes into like even thinking about like who might be there and just trying to like pin that needle. I mean, we can sit here. I think the thing I've learned the most is like, I know Brad doesn't draft for need, but like look at like the team's 5 biggest needs, look at the boards and just try and hone in on who you think they might view as the best prospect on the board and one that might also fit with their culture, scheme, and, be able to play out of the gate. So I don't know, man. I know you are in the middle of finishing your mock draft. We are recording. It is Wednesday, or no, excuse me. It is Tuesday morning, April 22nd. Happy Earth Day. How is your mocking coming along? I know you're in the middle of going through it right now.
It's coming along pretty smooth. I'm just, at these last minute, I'm trying to over the last couple of drafts, mock draft that we did, I thought I mocked pretty much for practicality. Now I'm trying to see, okay, who might do something unpredictable that I'm not expecting. So that's kind of the direction I'm going in with this one. I'm going with a little bit of insanity.
Yeah, I hear that. We also had Brad Holmes last week in his pre-draft press conference, and this is nothing against Brad at all. Don't take that as a slight, but like not much was said. We had just talked to him in Florida. It's the NFL draft. He never gets into specifics regarding the NFL draft. Like he'll talk through his beliefs and stuff like that. But like this is where Brad's at with draft coverage. He literally was like, I don't know why people are trying to predict this. Like when you go to a movie, you just grab your popcorn, shut up, and watch the movie, which is just a hilarious thing for a general manager to say. But yeah, it's just different, man. And now what you're saying, like a thing that might be out of left field, it might not technically be out of left field, but like the thing that's really picked up some traction in last week or two is the potential of a first round wide receiver. And we'll discuss Jameson Williams, but after that. But I just want to see what you're thinking. Do you think they're in the mix for a first round wide receiver? Like could Brad surprise us with a first round wide receiver pick?
I think the only way Brad could surprise us with the first round wide receiver pick is if they did something with Jameson Williams. I mean, we know that Brad is pretty unpredictable. He never tips his cap, so it's kind of hard to get a real read on which direction he goes. That said, they have so many needs on the defensive side of the ball that I just don't see them going in that direction of drafting a wide receiver unless they're going ahead and dealing Jameson and getting some multiple picks, with that on the back end where they're like, okay, we're going to go ahead and take a wide receiver, then probably go edge somewhere early in the second round, or depending on how where he gets traded to. So, yeah, unless it's a trade, I don't see it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I would just say like Brad's never gonna just draft to fill a need. Like we know that about him. He doesn't need to tell us for us to know that about him. And if he's in love with one of these wide receivers, I could see it happening. I mean, Jaden Higgins of Iowa State is a name that come to mind. And if Matthew freaking Golden somehow falls, like, watch out for that, man. But we did get a question. I thought this question was good enough to mention on the show. Andy Belfer wants to know, everyone's talking about having to trade JMO if the Lions draft a wide receiver. Even though his value may be higher next offseason, is there a world where the Lions could even tag him after his 5th year and still have 3 years of JMO left? We haven't seen the Lions use the tag, but the option is there. And I fully agree with this kind of like this course of questioning. That's exactly what I would do with Jameson Williams. I don't I don't think they should trade him. I don't think they should
Yeah.
want to be in a world without Jameson Williams. So I say pick up that 5th-year option, ride that out, ride out the final year of that rookie deal. And if you can't come to terms on an extension that works for you, then just tag him. Like, that's a good payday for him. You know, I mean, obviously make sure he's going to play on the tag or whatever. There's not going to be any off-field drama there. But like, man, I would try to keep JMO around on a short-term deal for as long as freaking possible. And there's good money to be made with that wide receiver franchise tag. And I don't know, man. I think they could even draft a wide receiver in the 1st or 2nd round, even with the plans of keeping JMO for at least the next 2 years. But yeah, where do you stand on the JMO stuff? I say just, you know what? I understand the risk of signing him to an extension because it's going to cost a lot of money. And there have been multiple suspensions. I mean, that's just fact. But man, I would want to keep him on this offense for as long as humanly possible because he is special. He has traits and skills that just you won't find, you won't get.
I think I think whoever that person was, what's his name again?
It was Andy Belfour, I believe.
And Mr. Belfour, you have the right line of thinking. I mean, right now, I don't think there is a real hurry to lock up Jameson immediately. I mean, I think he's still in a situation where he has to show that he can keep his, head above water for at least a full season without any type of distractions or setbacks. So I think go ahead and write out their rookie deal. Hopefully you're able to come to some type of terms where there is no holdout. But if you guys can't, if you can't come to an agreement, hey, tag him. I mean, you don't have to move on from him. You don't have to offer him a big deal right now. And the thing about it is, with his speed, his hands are getting better. Yeah. The fact that he's comfortable in the city, his teammates have taken a liking to him. It's a good fit. So, while there are other prospects out there that could come in here and do some damage and possibly do great things, he's already built a rapport with Jared Goff. He knows the system, and I mean, well, even though it's going to probably change a little bit under Morton, it's
gonna be
it's nothing to worry about right now.
Right. No, and I will say this though: if some team came to the Lions and started dangling a 1st-round pick, which I don't think is out of the question for someone like Jameson Williams, you do have to think about that. Just in terms of where his contract is, some of the bumps that have been had along the way. But honestly, I even as I say that, my preference is for them to keep Jameson Williams. But if someone comes to them and they're like, hey, we got this 1st, or we got a 2nd and some 3rds for you, or something like that, man, that's tough to say no to based on the contract situation. It's just how freaking good Brad is at this whole NFL draft thing.
I mean, you don't have to move him, but if somebody offers you a deal that is too good to pass up, I mean, hey, if I'm Brad, I'm like, hey, we've shown that we can win without you. We would love to win with you, but we've shown that we can win without you. We can go ahead and get multiple picks, maybe a 1st, or like you said, a 2nd and some 3rds. Hey, thank you for your service.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just to clarify, we are on team keep JMO, but there are logical decisions to be made here, and if there's something like that coming back, then you go for it.
It's a business at the end of the day.
Absolutely. One more from Damian Smith. I just put out a last-minute call to questions as we were getting around. He wants to know, what are the chances of the Lions trading down? There are a number of post-Holmes press conference mocks which assume a trade up. And I'll say this. I think it is more likely that the Lions trade up than down. The top of this edge rusher class is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. They have a comp 3rd-round pick. Maybe they planned on having it, but they have an extra comp 3rd-round pick this year. They have an extra comp 3rd-round pick next year. Man, if there's a situation where they can pair one of those 3rd-round comps, or even freaking both of them, with their 1st-round pick to go up and get someone like Shamar Stewart, to go up and get someone like freaking Jalen Walker, just a freak game changer pass rusher that's going to play immediately for you, go do it. But I will say this, and this is where I'll leave it for you. Trading down is also very interesting in this year's class because it's loaded with defensive linemen, interior and outside pass rushers. and you move down, you get a couple extra picks, and then you see a potential double up situation. So I fully get both. I lean just experience with Brad and what this class looks like and what they have this year and next year in terms of picks. I think it's more likely they trade up than down.
Yeah, same here. I believe that the edge rusher class over those first two rounds is pretty deep.
Yeah.
So I think they're in a position where they can just pretty much just sit pretty at number 28 and just go ahead and draft their guy. But if there's a guy that they want, I see them moving up before I see them moving back. I mean, they would have to get it for them to move back, they would have to get a nice amount of picks in. I don't really see what team out there right now that would make sense for doing that. Just
Yep.
again with the way the class is loaded, but yeah, going up to go get their guy would make more sense than them trading back. Because again, right now at 28, they still have from what the way we've done our mocks, they have a nice selection of guys that can go ahead and grab by sitting right there. Or if they like a guy, go ahead and move up.
Yeah. And I'll use that segue to discuss my final mock draft, which went live this morning, mlive.com/Lions. I went back to the well. First mock draft, I had Ezaraku from Boston College. Second mock draft, I went with my guy Skorton from Texas A&M. Final mock draft, I went back to the pass rusher from Boston College at pick 28. Might be there, might not be there, but the thing that makes me feel slightly confident he might be there at pick 28 for the Lions is that there are concerns about his size and power. I mean, he's a 6'3", 248-pound pass rusher, but like, man, the burst, the pass rush arsenal, the length. I know we talk about wingspan so much. Good, like, wingspan doesn't kill you or make you, but when you have the skills that Ezaraku has on the edge, combined with his wingspan, combined with his willingness against the run, it adds more to that Rolodex of pass rush moves. It lifts his ceiling as a run stopper on day one. He's not the traditional mold we've seen the Lions opt for in edge rushers, but like, I don't think that's a problem, because I think that they have been so stuck in a certain mold of edge rusher that's why they're in the situation they are in right now. Josh Paschal, fine football player who needs to really show something this final rookie year of his deal,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
they want him on the inside more. Levi Onwuzurike, natural interior guy who plays a lot of big defensive end. I know they'd like him on the inside more. You draft a guy like Ezaraku, that's a pass rush specialist in year one, and hopefully an all-around guy in year two and year three. That takes the burden off of Marcus Davenport. That's the biggest red flag on this team's roster right now, is Marcus, not just Marcus Davenport being on the depth chart, but being at the top of the edge rusher depth chart. The man has 3 sacks in 3 years. He's played 6 games in 2 years. He is talented. He fits everything they want in a player to be on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson, but you can't bank on that. So that's why I look at a guy like Ezaraku. That's why I look at a guy like Skorton. That's why any of those edge rushers, like, we didn't mention this guy as a potential trade-up guy, but if Mikael Williams falls out of Georgia into the 20s, that's a Terrion Arnold situation right there. Go up and get that man. So I just like, edge is their biggest need, and it's also the chance that it's going to be the best player available. So yeah, I think I think Ezaraku could be there just based on some of the size concerns and just with the lack of power combined with the strength of this edge class. But that doesn't make me think he's not a great fit or a great day one player, because I think this guy can pin his ears back, make some noise, and really take the one-sided nature of Detroit's pass rush and give it another little juice. And that's exactly what they need, man.
I've been, you've spoken really high of Ezaraku since you've done your first mock, and it just caused me to go ahead and look at some of his tapes. And to be quite honest, when I was doing my last mock, it was hard for me to not go ahead and agree with you and put him right there. I said, okay, I got to give it a little bit of purity, in our mocks. But I mean, he if you just look at the way that he moves and his build, it's like he looks NFL ready, day one starter ready. So, and I'd be the perfect guy to put alongside Aiden Hutchinson. And I think again, while for some reason Marcus Davenport is at the top of the depth chart, I believe that a guy of Ezaraku's talent could beat him out for that spot in training camp. And he just has that feel of a lion, of a guy that's just gritty and ready to go ahead and roll the sleeves up and get in the dirt and just be ready to just punish defenses. So I think that is a very solid pick.
Yeah, he's durable. He's a captain. I know he had this massive breakout year last year with 16 and a half sacks, 21 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, won nearly 20% of his pass rush reps, was great against the run, ACC Defensive Player of the Year, but like he was not just a one-hit wonder. Like he was on radars 2 years ago as a second team all ACC guy. So like I look at this as like that's a good sign that his last year in college was his best. I mean, it was a new coaching staff. Bill O'Brien takes over, brings a lot of NFL experience with him on that staff, and Ezaraku breaks out. Like that's a good sign. Like the way he dips, the way he moves, the way he uses his arms. That's why his wingspan matters to me. Like Aiden Hutchinson's wingspan didn't matter to me because of the way he used his arms. Ezaraku's wingspan is strength, but it's also a strength in how he uses those arms to get around guys, wrap guys up. I mean, there are so many clips of him on tape, specifically the North Carolina game that I was watching the other day, where he's tackling the quarterback or the running back with the offensive tackle. So he might not be able to overpower NFL tackles or guards or tight ends on day one, but man, they're going to have a hell of a time trying to keep him from getting around them.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not changing my pick, Ben. You know, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get me to change my pick mid mock. I'm sticking with my guy.
All right. I love to hear it. Love to hear it. Check out Corey's mock. That'll be live by the time you listen to this on Wednesday, April 23rd, mlive.com/Lions. Let's get out of here. I am working on one last post. We'll get out of here with this. I listed the 5 top remaining needs for the Lions, and I want to see if we're in agreement or if you have any thoughts on that. But I did do it in order. I've got edge rusher at top. I've got wide receiver at number 2. That might surprise some people. I've got offensive guard at number 3. Interior defensive line at number 4, and safety depth at number 5.
I like that. That's and here's what I like that. First off, I think we know they need an edge rusher. I mean, that's we can beat that horse to the ground.
We have. I'm tired of talking about it. I got edge rusher fatigue, bro.
Right. But when it comes, the wide receiver is definitely a need for them. And it's also why I was really shocked that they did not go out and get their wide receiver 3 in free agency. There were some options out there available to them that I thought that they should have went and got, especially for some of the money you see these guys sign for, like Nick Westbrook. He signed for like 2 years, $6 million, if I'm not mistaken, a really cheap deal for a guy with his production. And when you have, you're not bringing Allen Robinson back, it doesn't look like he's up there in age. Tim Patrick is going to be, they brought him back on a 1-year deal. He's going to be 32 towards the end of November. So it's like, okay, you have your wide receiver 1 and 2 with St. Brown and J-Mo that you've taken through the draft. But what about that WR3 that you're going to be developing, along the way? I mean, you do need that guy. So I think wide receiver 2, another wide receiver is definitely a need that is understated. With Zeitler leaving, they need to go ahead and add to that line. And again, also too, when you look at safety, you're going to have to make a decision at some point about Kirby Joseph or Brian Branch. Probably Joseph could be the odd man out, remains to be seen. But you also need depth at that position as well, which I talked about in my draft review, because they lost some pieces to a free agency on the defensive back side, and then December they cut Brandon Joseph due to his off the field situation. So you need to improve depth right there. So I think you have the right idea on that front.
Guard is one of those things I went back and forth on receiver, but I love Tim Patrick. I love Khalif Raymond. They're great pieces for this offense, for special teams, for Khalif on special teams. Tim really stepped into his role as wide receiver 3 last year, but with the J-Mo contract situation kind of looming over top of that, you want to keep this offense humming. And maybe it doesn't need a first-round pick. Maybe it doesn't even need a second-round pick, but I would love to see them add not a 6th or 7th round guy, but like a 5th, 4th, or 3rd round wide receiver to the mix. Someone that's going to come in and compete. Someone that you have earmarked for a roster spot. They don't give anything away, but all right, this guy can be one of our 5 receivers. I see that. I think that would be great, because then that gives you 4 years of affordable team control. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned safety just because we've watched Brian Branch bounce between slot and safety. They lost Melifonwu. I know Melifonwu wasn't always available, wasn't always durable, but when he was available and healthy, man, he was on the field and he was playing a versatile role. And they lost that. And right now, I think it's Eric Hallett and Lauren Strickland behind those two. So
Yeah.
little safety depth, maybe someone that can do some slot, maybe someone that can play some safety. Get a mini Branch light type mold. There's not Brian Branches growing on trees. I'm not saying that, but like just get somebody that can boost that depth. That's not a top priority for me, but that's why safety made the list. And you did bring up an interesting point of Branch and Joseph. There's a realistic possibility the Lions are paying like $150 million to two safeties if they want to keep both of those guys. So that is a tough decision. I don't, gosh, just because it is safety in this new era of the NFL, but like Kirby Joseph and his ball hucking skills and just continued growth he's shown, you don't want to lose that. And honestly, I've said it before. I don't think I've said it on this podcast, but like I view Brian Branch as having like NFL all-decade Hall of Fame team type potential.
Absolutely.
Like this guy could be one of the best safeties or defensive backs of this decade. Like I really see that in him. So it's like, if you made me pick, I'm not losing Brian Branch, but I also don't want to lose Kirby either. So like that's these are the parts of the equation people don't think about. Like that's a lot of money. You can't when you start thinking about it like that, you start hearing Brad when he's saying we couldn't even afford Za'Darius, man. We're thinking about the future. We're thinking about 2027 too. We're not just thinking about 2025 and 2026. And I mean, it's fascinating that just the amount of contracts that are coming up for this team, the guys that are going to be kept, and like it also plays into the Jameson Williams talk too, because that wouldn't be a cheap deal, and you don't want to lose these bankable cornerstone stars. I don't give a crap what position they play. So yeah, there's that. And we talked about guard. Guard, I still think there might be a veteran guard out on the market that they could add and really just be a 1 year plug and play, compete for a job type guy like a Will Hernandez.
Yeah.
There's a couple still floating out there, but like, so I mentioned guard, and I know I'm in the minority on this, but like, I believe in Graham Glasgow. Like, I think his issues at the end of last season were more related to his knee injury, to the durability than his skill, than to what he is or who he is. I still think he can be a bankable starter at one of those guard spots. I believe in Mahogany too. I mean, those 2 starts he made as a rookie were great. Very impressive. Glowing reviews from the staff, glowing reviews from teammates, glowing reviews from my eyes, but like 2 starts as a 6th round rookie at left guard and right guard, that's not enough to go into the season being like, yeah, that's the guy. That's nothing against him. That's just for this offensive line to remain the whole thing like they've said it is, they probably need a little competition, whether that's a veteran or a pick or both. I do think that they need to address the interior offensive line just to boost the competition, just to boost the floor. This offensive lines are so important to every team, but just the way this offense operates, Jared Goff's skill set, the timing, the precision, what they expect out of these guys, they need to have the right 5 starting. And they've been able to do that through injuries the last couple of years, but I do think losing Zeitler is a big deal. I mean, he was one of the best guards in the league last year, full stop. Still had it in the tank, got a near $10 million deal from the Titans for a reason. But yeah, that's kind of the list right there. Did I miss any position? No. Guard, safety, interior defensive line. That's McNeil's going to miss camp in the early part of the season. Wingo's going to be on a similar timeline. It's a good class, man. Take advantage of it. That's like the main reason it's there. Like, you're going to need some help for at least the first month of the season on the interior defensive line. Why not add a guy for the future too? It's a deep class. Take a best player available. Stack it up, man.
I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. The one big thing that I really want to stress on today, they probably do need to go ahead and address that offensive line, because Jared Goff has to stay upright for this window to stay open. The moment he goes down, you might as well just pull the plug and look towards next year. So I think that making sure that you have that offensive line solidified going into the new year, and not just banking on a whim is the right idea to go. They had an insane, quote Dan Campbell, bizarre amount of injuries last season. So to kind of go to your point, I believe that Graham Glasgow, with the time off, being able to recover and rehab and be able to get ready for the season, I think he'll be a lot better than what his finish was, most definitely. But yeah, adding to that offensive line, They definitely need to go ahead and get that interior help with a lean being out. But to me, that the biggest thing is just planning for the future, something that Brad has been talking about, and that has to be going ahead and getting that depth at wide receiver and safety. That is just very paramount.
Yeah. And all right, there it is. Your pre-draft Dungeon of Doom podcast. I'm Ben Raven. He's Corey Woods. We are your Dungeon of Doom podcast. And let's get out of here with a message from Brad Holmes on the biggest lessons he's learned through his first 4 drafts and just kind of how he views the changing world for the Lions. But we'll talk to you guys on the other side. Grab the popcorn, enjoy the draft, and we'll talk to you.
You know, I think the first couple of years, because of where we were at as a roster, was like, man, like we need this. Like I told you guys, I think at the time we needed everything. So there was not a position or anything that was like, we just needed really good football players. And so it was much more urgency. We have a lot of really good football players, but I don't think that where we are at a roster now is going to lessen my desire either to want to go get more better football players. But, obviously the more depth that you build, and when the roster is harder to make, sometimes it does say, look, maybe just stay patient and, just see, or maybe just go up and get, the guy you really, really want, and you don't use all those other draft picks, So, but yeah, just kind of seeing the big picture, in terms of not being as anxious because of where we're as a roster.